Josie's on his vacation far away. Come around and talk it over. So many things that I wanna say. You know I like my girls a little bit older. I just wanna use your love tonight. I don't wanna lose your love tonight.
Well, we're going to talk baseball, of course, as we always do every single week with Ryan Divish on Wednesdays. Lots to cover. The reunion, Cole Young. We got more piggyback. Hey, I don't know if you've seen this. People hate Josh Naylor now, apparently. Dom Canzone, we'll talk about that. Trade market, everything here with Ryan Divish here over the next 30 minutes. Inside Pitch, again, brought to you by Chalet Bowl. Serving the community since 1941, the oldest operating bowling alley in the world. Visit chaletbowl.com to book your next reservation. Proudly wearing the Montana State track and field shirt.
Another few weeks
As his stepdaughter has a track scholarship to become a Bobcat. Let's start here first. You are in a lovely city of Pittsburgh that everybody raves about. Every time they go there to watch a baseball game, they're like, this is the best park imaginable. Where does PNC Park rank for you of all the parks that you've been to around baseball?
Well, yeah, it's like weird, like, you rate the trips, and I was going to actually do a story on this sometime, just kind of like rating the parks and everything. It's like, I don't really put Wrigley and Fenway in the same category because it's more like bucket list type of deal. But I look at for me, like the overall, like the aesthetics of the stadium, like that backdrop, it's the most absurd thing I've ever seen. And like when you get some like rain during the day or whatever, you get the kind of clouds, you get the sunset. Oh my God. So aesthetically, it's like number one, probably. The trip itself to Pittsburgh, other than just trying to get to Pittsburgh, which Alaska has a direct flight. And I want to thank the man who had the extender in the middle seat and was literally touching my leg the whole flight and sweating on me, which was not enjoyable. Like getting here is a little rough because it's a longer flight, whatever, you're on the East Coast. But like once you get here, like this whole area set up is so amazing. It's probably for me top 3 trips in MLB. San Diego will always be number one. I mean, because you're in the gas lamp, you can walk around. It's on the West Coast. I mean, we know what the weather. I know you want to someday move there when Puck Sports, takes over for Barstool and the Ringer. You'll move to San Diego and forget about everybody. Hopefully, then you and Reggie can up it up so I can just live in Missoula. But no, so it's probably San Diego's 1, and then for me. Probably Minnesota and Pittsburgh are 2 and 3 in that order. Because like the parks are cool and you can walk. So there's hotels, like I'm staying at this Residence Inn and yeah, it's gotten to be a little rundown over the years, but I can walk out of the entrance of the Residence Inn, walk across the street, and there's the media entrance to the park. Like I have a 50-foot commute. So it's like, and then there's a Spring Hill Suites down the way. There's a bunch, and then like all you have to do is, you see the bridge behind the stadium, the Clemente Bridge. You walk across that bridge and you're in downtown Pittsburgh. They've got like a little market. There's a bunch of hotels in downtown. There's a little market area where they got one of the Primanti Brothers places and different things. So like for me, any place where you can stay and walk. Yeah. And it's like, that's the goal. Like Minnesota, I know you've been to Minnesota.
Yeah,
Minnesota's
great park.
Amazing. You can
great
walk, and they got all the stuff down there.
Yeah.
And same with that. So this is probably top 3, okay. And it's just, the one thing is too is you usually it's not hard getting tickets. We had 16,000 people here last night and it was 70 degrees out, perfectly comfortable,
It's crazy. They're a good team.
Yeah. I mean, like,
they're a decent squad.
Supposedly, like when Skeens pitch, it bumps up almost 8,000 people anytime Skeens pitches, 8,000 to 9,000 people. But it was funny. It's like 16,000 was the announced, and I probably, a third of them were Mariners fans, and most of them were there for Cole Young. So it was, it's definitely a place. Like if you're into baseball, You really like baseball and stuff, you should come here and check it out.
It's on the list for sure. It definitely is on the list. You brought his name up. Let's start there. Cole Young. First game, he's what a return. Now, I don't know if he said this in the post game with you guys or Dan Wilson. Was that where he hit the home run is actually where he said that's where he would sit?
So yeah, when he was a kid, he would come to Pirates games. He lives in Wexford, which is it's like 15 minutes north. But he would come in and he would go to BP, early BP as a kid, and sit and be in the right field seats, shagging fly balls and running down fly balls like your son does, trying to get home run balls and everything like that. And then he sat kind of behind the first base dugout for the 2013 AL wild or the NL wild card game. It was against the Cubs. So like he was going there as a kid, but yeah, they sat out in right field. Cause if you look at that right field, you got the river behind you, you kind of overlook. It's a great spot to sit. And they're, I think they're kind of bleacher seats or like GA seats. So he would go there and then he deposits one at like 3 rows from the top. I mean, like, like it was crazy. Like he hit it and all his family and friends, are about 25 plus other people. They're all kind of right behind that first base dugout. And he hit it, and you can all just see him stand up, and they get their hands up. And then when it hits, they just are all just jumping up and down and hugging. Cool. I mean, like, that's like, it's a full circle. And like for your parents, you've invested a lot of time in this. And then all of a sudden, you have this moment. I think it was funny, we were joking, but we asked him what he did on, if he saw his family or whatever. So on Monday, they got in Sunday night. Monday, he went out to his house and his parents did a barbecue, and we went and got, like Cole, cause he's got that Spicoli, like, bro, we went and got some steaks and cooked them. And I'm assuming Angie's like, did you cook them? He goes, well, I helped. I'm like, so you didn't cook them? No, I helped. And he says, well, I just hung out with my friends. We were at my buddy's house and I go, oh, what, his parents gone? Like, because you got to remember, he's 21. Like he's 21. His buddies are probably home.
You forget that with him.
Yeah, 21, 22. His buddies are probably home from college, hanging out for the summers. They weren't at somebody's house like they own their house. They're at their parents' house, hanging out. Like, I mean, that's just
and he's
so
a professional
amazing.
Ball player.
Yeah,
playing second base, playing great. You're right. These guys are back from the University of Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
all Theta Chi's or something. And
yeah,
they're like,
probably
hey, all the high school girls. Hey, you remember Angie? Oh God, yeah. You wait till you see Angie. She's coming back. Where she went to Cincinnati, but I heard she's dropping out and going to Pittsburgh Community College. Yeah. I mean, it's wild with him because you forget how. I think you forget how young he is. I actually forgot today. I was looking it up. I forgot that he didn't go to college. I was just thinking, what college did he go to? I'm like, no, he didn't go to college. They drafted him right out of high school, and I forget all the time how young he is. He doesn't play. Neither he or Colt play like that.
No.
And I just think the thing with him, the biggest jump, maybe you're going to say, you could see it coming, or they're going to say, we saw it coming. His jump from last year to this year, just in everything. And just the work that whatever he did in the offseason, I'm sure he's talked to you guys about it, has paid off for him. And I'm just wondering, what has he told you guys was the moment or the wake up? Did he have a conversation with someone? Did someone get to him and say, hey, listen, you need to do this and that. And if you don't do it, then you're just going to be an average player. But if you commit to yourself, you can turn yourself into a very, very good player.
Yeah. So I think one, struggling last year, because he never really struggled that much, struggling the way he did. I think he was like 3 for 47 or something like that. And then just not getting to play. Like, he did not play very much at the end of last year's, just a handful of games in the last probably 3 weeks. And even in the postseason, he didn't play very much. So, not getting to play, like, yeah, you work your ass off to get to the big leagues, but then you sit the bench, especially when you have all those expectations. So he went to them, and said, and I'm sure they were going to tell him that anyways, but like, what do I have to do to, and they told him, one, you have to be better at hitting the fastball. That's how you're getting beat. They showed the data that he was just exposed on fastballs above 95 miles an hour, particularly ones kind of up, just above the belt. 2, his defense was lacking. like lateral movement, other things. And he was gassed by the end of the season, physically gassed. And so all those things went into it. So like he went into the off season and looked at restructure, did their lifting program with went into that, attack that. You could see like physically he's a lot bigger across the chest and shoulders, and legs. So, took more, it's like I think he lifted before, but he focused on lifting even more to get stronger, did a lot of lateral agility work with his trainers and stuff. And then, really focused on being able to hit the high fastball. Like the defensive stuff was going to come, I think, just by working with Perry Hill. And I think part of it too is like he, a year ago, he had the shoulder issues, didn't get to participate a lot in spring because he had some shoulder issues. And then I think also just getting up there and not being, having some confidence, understanding, like at the big league level, all the different things they're doing. He understands it now. So, going in, it wasn't like he was trying to learn all that stuff. So I think all those things went into it. But like the spring, we'd watch him hit and like his preparation every day. They would ratchet the 3-wheel pitching machine, the hack attack, up to as close as high as they could get it. And they would have it at about 50 feet or 45 feet, and they're just heaters at him. And he's, fouls them off. You're trying to get on time, and they get on time, and then, you just pound them, and they do it from different angles and all this different stuff to simulate. And he also started to use the trajectory even more and more, but using it in the way it's not like just going in there and, oh, we're going to face so and so tonight, so let's just go see it. No. He went in there with a specific plan, even on days where he wasn't, like in the spring, where he wasn't facing a hitter or a pitcher. He went in there and worked on high velocity guys, guys throwing 99 and seeing that and adjusting his thinking to that. So that was his thing.
And then to back up your talk there about the fastball, last year his batting average on a fastball was 181. This year he's jumped it up to 278.
Yeah, to the point where they're not giving him fastballs very much anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, like he's starting to see a lot more off-speed stuff. And like, like last night, what they're doing also is kind of staying away, working him away. Like he got out the first couple of times, fastball away, changeup away. He was a little bit behind the count, but, he sits on a hanging slider and hammers it.
Yeah. Well, it's been fun to watch. He's a fun personality. It's you look at those two and you envision he and Colt, playing together for, the next decade or so, playing there at second and short. All right, let's go over to everyone's favorite topic. Of course, that would be piggyback. I've recalled it. I'm just calling it the tag team because I can't say piggyback anymore. So I'm going to go with the tag team. Now it's been a Miller Castillo tag team. Now everybody else, and I guess I was confused. I thought they were going to do this like with everybody like right away. Like every start was going to be this type of piggyback thing and how they were going to do it. And then it didn't realize, no, we're going to do it. No one really does it during Pittsburgh, and then someone's going to do it during Cleveland, what have you. But now we get someone other than Miller and Castillo coming up, and it's going to be Gilbert and Hancock. Now this opens up, and I know everyone was going to do it, but boy, you got to sit back, and I know you guys talked to Gilbert in Pittsburgh. You got to sit back and wonder, is this really the right decision with the guy that in his last, 6 starts, has got a 1-something ERA? He's been fabulous. And now you're going to tell him, and I know he's being a great teammate, but you're going to tell him, hey, you're going to get to 65, 70 pitches, and it doesn't matter what you're doing, we're taking you out? That's got to be a tough one for Logan Gilbert to swallow.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, but it's like I think they're all viewing us like, hey, let's do it just this one time, and then we don't have to do it for a while. I mean, maybe it's like the prostate exam or whatever, or going to the dentist. You got to do it one time, and then you don't have to do it for a while. So I guess that's maybe the way they're viewing it. He talking with him and the other guys, if they're upset, they're not, showing it. And this is even in conversations off the record. It's just kind of like, hey, this is what we have to do. And if you're a good teammate and you claim to be a good teammate, then sometimes you have to just shut up and do it and not think about it, and I think that's part of it. There's a lot of incentive for all these guys to pitch and do these things. But if it's just the one time, then so be it. Logan has been outstanding of late, and I don't think it's ideal. But the one thing is like, look, I think in talking with some people with the Mariners, like, yeah, it's not ideal to have Logan doing this, but what would be less ideal is to have this meeting, set out these plans and everything, and get the pitchers' input on what they want to do. So set it up based on what they said they want to do, and then you go change it based on some recent results. Because then you're screwing with everybody. Because then they're like, well, we just talked about this, but just because he pitched well, I pitched well the last time and we had to do it. So like, I think in the level of fairness, this is what they're trying to do. I mean, like, this isn't normal. It's not ideal, but at the same time, like, they feel like this is their best option to keep everybody stretched out. And whether you agree with that as something level of importance, to them it does. And whether it's because they're worried about somebody getting injured or somebody needing extra time, or the idea that they may want to trade Castillo or somebody and keeping him stretched out because he has no value. If he goes to a reliever role, he has no value to other teams. I think, they're doing it for their reasons. You don't have to agree with them.
Right.
But like, you can't say that they haven't thought about this, because in talking with people, this is stuff that they go over and over and plan. And they, Trent Blank, the minor league, or not the minor, the director of pitching, they asked him to come up with some ideas, and he basically did this, kept doing it daily, and doing it after games and reassessing and looking at all these things. And it's like, there's time that went into this. So I like, to be honest, like, the consternation on Twitter about it and the anger, I think now it's just like groupthink. It's like, oh my God, let's just get angry about this. Like, it seems a little overblown or overwrought, honestly.
Well, I think
because look, it isn't, you could lose a game and it's not ideal, but they're trying to have some long range plan or some long range thinking. And I think and to be fair, it's tough for fans to think in the long range. They're thinking about winning the game in the moment, and then, winning those games and how that affects them and what's going on in that moment, and not seeing down the road. And that's not a fan's job, is to see down the road. It's the GM or the manager. They have to see down the road to see what the strategy is to have benefits all the way through the season. And, that's you can't expect, I don't expect fans to understand it. I mean, I don't know if I completely understand it. I just don't get angry about it, because it's like, nothing I write and nothing fans are going to say are going to change it. The only thing that's going to change it is if there was some level of mutiny from the players, or if the overall results were so catastrophically bad that they had to walk away from it. And they haven't been catastrophically bad. They've been mixed, I would say.
Well, your perspective is obviously going to be different than a fan's perspective on it, on how it's treated. I think from a fan's perspective, I mean, if you step back and look at it, I think it's fair to understand the thinking for them is like, well, aren't we trying to do everything we can to win that game? Because that really should be the goal for every team. But what do we need to do to win today? And I think you get in a situation like they got in the last time with Miller and Castillo. Listen, he's at 63 pitches and he's given up 3 hits and a 1 run. In no scenario would you ever take him out of the game to bring in Luis Castillo, but they've got this bigger plan, obviously, that is in place for them. And clearly, you touched on it, clearly they want to trade him. To me, that's what it's clear to me, that they're doing this because they're trying to desperately probably move him at the deadline. And you're right. If they move him to the bullpen, he's got no value then. He's got value as a starter. I think I just think it's a tough position for all of these pitchers to be in. I think it's certainly unfair to Bryce Miller. Could they have done something else that could have appeased everyone? I guess looking back on it, despite how he was pitching, although he hasn't been good of late in the last 2-3 starts, is probably just go to Hancock and say, man, I don't know. You've been in this role. We got to put you back there right now. Again, I don't know. Not the easiest thing to do, because with Castillo, and maybe you can just say, well, just put Castillo in the bullpen. I don't know. It's a sunk cost anyways. I'm not envious of their thought process with it, and I agree with you. I don't think they just are coming up with things like daily. Like, oh, let's try this today. I know there's a thought process behind it, but I think because of their long-term plans, they are opening up some criticism to sacrificing some wins that in the end could come back and bite them.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it's easier for them to do this plan given the division they're in and what they're seeing. I mean, they have not played well of late, and they're still what, 1.5 up, 2 up, and so it's like it's easier to implement this plan and not go extreme because there's no impetus to really, like, you're not playing your way out of it. You're not chasing. And for me, like, I'll never tell fans how to be fans because I'm not one. So I don't know why they tell me how to be a writer when they're not one, but that's, okay. But like, yeah, it's a tough sell. And you're right. What was Dan Wilson's mantra too? Like, always do everything they can to win that night. You're going to do everything to win that night's game. It reminds me a little bit, because I was dealing with this when I was on that little break last week and even last year. It's like when you're dealing with your team in youth baseball and you got a pitch limit and you get 105 and then they got to sit for 5 days, and you're like looking, okay, yeah, is the value of pushing this pitcher to 105 games and have him sit 5 days, or do we keep him to 75 and he only has to sit 3 and we'll bring in somebody else who isn't quite as good, but we think we can make it work because we're good enough? It's like this weird thing, I don't think you're not running the game traditionally, but they also, I think, have some faith that, like, if he just goes in and isn't terrible, we can win the game. The problem is like a couple times it's blown up in these games where it hasn't worked. What have the Mariners done in those games? They haven't scored anyways. Like, correct, with the Ranger Suarez game, they, had 2 hits. I mean, like, and somebody's like, well, Julio's home would have been the game winner. I'm like, yeah. Tommy Kahnle wouldn't be pitching to Julio in the 9th in a 1-run game. That would have been a Aroldis Chapman. So it's like you can't play that game where you're, like, and I kind of wrote that on my game story, that there were so many layers to that piggyback game and what went wrong and how you lose a game. You can't just sit there and say, well, it was the offense or whether it was this one guy or this or that. I mean, a lot went into it for them to lose that game. Because if they're hitting off a Ranger Suarez, and Castillo comes in, the one thing is too is like, we don't, like, if Castillo was really bad, like he was or whatever, but they were leading and the game was close, there's not to say they wouldn't have pulled him. Hey, the right, bigger pictures were going to win the goal, but they hadn't scored. Castillo gave up the 4 runs or the 3 runs. All of a sudden, it's seemingly out of reach for a comeback. So then you're like, okay, let's just run it till the end and save the bullpen. It's like throwing in the long reliever when you're down 3 after 4 innings and calling it good.
So let's work on the premise that I think you and I both agree that they're actively going to try and trade him. Do you agree with that as well?
What? I certainly don't think they're going to be opposed to it. I mean, I think they're also looking at it's just they have 6 starters and they have Kate Anderson in Double-A. You're looking around and how many teams right now can you truly say are selling? The Rockies, the Royals, maybe the Mets. So will there be starting pitching on the market for teams that need starters? Because there's always going to be a need for starters at the deadline. So here the Mariners are, well, look, you know what? We've got this guy here. He posts every 5 days. He's willing, he's stretched out. He's ready to go. We'll even take a little bit of the money if you give us something in return.
Well, you guys wrote about it in the paper and talked about several scenarios. I think we've talked about some of these guys before, anyways, like Matt Chapman with the Giants, finding guys that kind of are mirror him a little bit in contracts.
Yeah, the Robbie Ray Mitch Haniger swap.
Yeah, so Chapman would make sense. Third baseman, right-handed bat, owed some money. I don't have the contract right in front of me. Then you've also got Suzuki there with the Cubs. Kind of would fit salary. Well, is he a free agent next year, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So you have they have a desire to acquire starting pitching. I think he is a free agent. what makes sense? Like if they were to move him, what is ballpark? What kind of money are they going to eat? Because they're going to eat some money. No one's going to pick up that entire salary there with Castillo.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's got to be probably a little bit this year and a little bit next year. So even if you were to take off, because like you're halfway through or you're beyond halfway point this year, you're not paying a lot of freight on this year. It's paying the freight on next year, and you can kick that can down the road a little bit too. Like if you're taking the money from next year, so like 10 million. Who knows? He's 24 million next year.
Yeah,
I
was just pulling that up. And Suzuki is a free agent. He's making 19 this year, then he's a free agent. So he'll make 24 million next year, and then has the vesting option in 28 at 25.
I mean, you look at the Cubs; they have no starting pitching. They're all
Zero.
hurt. And so, yeah, so like if it's 20, the prorated version of what's left of 24 million versus what Suzuki is owed at the 19, you pay the difference and just straight swap. Maybe then the Cubs can just pay, because the Cubs have money too. It's not like they don't. The Cubs could just say, okay, yeah, we'll do that. I mean, and then you get Suzuki, a right-handed hitter who could go into the Ref Snyder role, be your right-handed DH.
Did I not read though where he's like, I want to play he's like adamant about playing in the field?
Yeah, you know what? It's fine. I want I-5 traffic to be a lot better. I would like, my own HOV lane, but some things you're just not going to get.
It'd be an upgrade. I mean, he's hit 270. He's got OPS 806.
Yeah, and they could give him the cursory day in the outfield. He's not good out there. He seems to think that he hits better when he plays in the outfield.
I think all players feel that way, don't they?
Yeah. Well, not Edgar.
Well, yeah, okay. He's the one.
Him and Nelly Cruz. No, but like that's a fit. You're looking for the contract swap. So like sometimes that makes it a lot more tolerable because you're like at least getting something in return. If there was a higher paid reliever, maybe that they were looking at to get strikeouts, you could do it that way as well. So that's what, yeah. But the problem is just there's just teams selling. Royals, Giants, Rockies for certain, right?
Right.
We expect the Mets, I would think. And then where do you go from there? I mean, do you really want anybody on the Angels? And we've talked about trading with Jerry, trading with Artie Moreno. I don't know. And I don't know what Texas and Houston are going to do. Again, that's interdivision trades. Royals, like Lucas Ursig, would help them a ton. He's got some issues this year, but the one thing is like some of these broken relievers, you wonder like if the Mariners, their pitching guys can, breathe some life into them, and they have a lot of faith in that.
Well, and I know that the Twins GM has come out this week and said, listen, we got no plans to move Byron Buxton. I always feel when the GM comes out and says that's like him, the open invitation. He's for sale. Someone's just got to make a really good deal to come get him. His contract runs through.
Buxton's got a full no trade though. Yeah, Buxton's got full no trade. So
do you think he'd exercise it and not want to move? I mean,
he did it last year. The Braves were working on a deal to acquire him. He's from Atlanta, and he said no.
Well, okay.
But again, I've been to Atlanta in September. It's not a lot of fun either.
He's owed. I mean, it's not a bad cut. He's owed $15 million in the next 2 years, 27 and 28.
I'm sure lots of teams will be calling on him because it is a very workable contract.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously,
good deal.
If you're the Yankees and you're still not certain on Judge, you should absolutely be calling on him. I mean, you're talking about Buxton going into center field instead of Trent Grisham. Come on. I mean,
who would you rather have if you're the Mariners? Would you rather target Buxton? Let's just say he's available, like he's waiving his no trade. Buxton or Suzuki?
Come on, it's Buxton. But the one thing is Buxton plays center field.
I want you to answer the question.
I mean, like Buxton might not come here because he plays center field. Like, is he going to want to come here and play right field?
Yeah, right.
Like that's another thing. Like understanding the minds of professional baseball players is difficult, and I've only been around them for like 20 years of my life, so I don't. I guess what's important to him versus comfort level and everything else.
Okay, they obviously will be on the market like every team is in the market for a right-handed bat, right? The numbers, people who are following the sport and understand the numbers are way down, right-hand hitters and all that. So those bats will be at a premium at the deadline. The Mariners, they're going to need some help in the bullpen. Now, Andres Munoz in the first start against Pittsburgh looked like, I mean, whatever got into him, you're like, okay, bottle that up. It's like when you hit a good drive when you're playing golf and you're like, how do I bottle that up? What did I do? Like whatever Munoz did in the first game against Pittsburgh, bottle it up because he looked just sensational. But you go back on the previous few outings, and again, he's gotten out of some of this stuff, but you've seen this like, a meeting on the mound with the infield coming in because he's throwing balls over the place. And he feels like a guy that really does at times lack a lot of confidence out there despite having just this amazing stuff. And I've said this, like he scares the hell out of me. If they get in the postseason and it's a Game 7 ALCS or God forbid this team ever gets to the World Series, he scares the life out of me because I don't know if he's built for that moment. I don't know. That's just how I personally feel. But his stuff is off the charts. But they do need some bullpen help. A name that has been brought up routinely in the last few weeks has been Aroldis Chapman. What do you think about that fit?
I mean, he fits anybody that needs relief help. He fits anybody. Chapman's going to want to close if you go get him, and there is the clubhouse dynamic a little bit. And
what about the off the field stuff from 11 years ago?
I mean,
do you think that factors in with this organization and their pursuit of him?
Yeah, I mean, this is a organization that has the refuse to abuse program. I mean, that's it does matter. It does matter. I don't think because he's been available before and they've been in a position where he could have helped them before, and they never once really considered it, from what I can tell. Like, I'm sure there was conversations, but I never felt like that was something that was going to happen. And honestly, I never felt like it was an option, even like this year when people were talking about it. I know his name's been brought up, but just like the circumstances and everything else and kind of being around the organization, I'd be surprised if that happened. I think they would.
Should you be concerned about that if you're an organization, though? I mean, honestly, I'm not trying to be, rude or crass here, but like, isn't the goal to acquire players that help you win? I mean, has not been suspended. I mean, he was back then, but he's playing. Yeah, like, should it really matter? Like,
I don't know if it matters to the organization as much as it matters to certain segments of the fan base and what that perception is.
But
and what the blowback would be.
But do you think that fan base who says, because I heard from a few people, I would stop being a Mariners fan if they acquire him. Respectfully, I think you're lying. I think people say that all the time just to project. But I think if he comes in and his lights out in the postseason and would help them to a World Series, people are like, well, everyone deserves a second chance.
Yeah, I mean, like Frank Clark, like he was with the Seahawks, and it's like, I don't know. You're right. Like a lot of people say I'd never be a Mariners fan. I've had several people that still tweet to me every day, say they've given up on the season and I'm never watching another game like 7 different times. I was going to catalog all of those.
You should write that for like an end of the year piece. I'm done with this team.
It is a weird situation. I don't know that they would do it. I still know that they want to. I don't know if they believe that like what he gives them is worth some of the blowback.
Okay.
But, the one thing is Chapman, it's going to be like a bidding contest for him because a lot of people are going to want him because he's going to be the best reliever available, and that's what's going to be the issue. It is tough. Like the other teams, like the Twins bullpen is god awful. They don't have anybody that throws hard, so you're not looking at them. Royals have a couple guys you're waiting to see like in the next 3 or 4 weeks. And then they could have the good old, what you used to love, the we're buying and selling at the deadline. Some teams may try and do that. We're buying and selling, and so like you could get a team that maybe moves, like a team like, I don't know, the D-backs or somebody that moves a reliever or whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, we're buying and selling. So I don't know. I mean, like, come on, do you don't count Matt Brash as a trade deadline acquisition when he comes back?
I made that joke, and then I made that joke a couple of weeks ago, and people got all mad at me. Look at what they've done the last 3 years. I go, I understand.
But
They've
this
been
is
great in the last 3 years, but they've done this in the past. I just laugh about it because they'll do it again this year when Brash comes back or when Donovan comes back. They're going to say it because Hollander already did. It's like adding 2 pieces at the deadline. It makes me laugh.
But like the weird thing is like they have been unbelievably aggressive at the trade deadline. Randy Rosarena, Justin Turner, last year Gino and Naylor, and
they've been great.
They have gone out, dating back to Luis Castillo.
Yeah.
But what's weird is like you look at the team and the roster, and then what's available, and the Seiya, the Suzuki's of the world, just like that one fit for the right-handed bat, But like even like Matt Chapman, you're committing a lot of money, and he's been sort of up and down. Like the overall numbers look okay, but like you look at certain numbers and you're like, huh.
Well,
and he is older too. And then you're like, you got a third baseman, you have like 15 third basemen now instead of 15 first basemen.
Where would you put him? Would you? You have to play him at third, don't you?
Well, yeah, he's a Gold Glove level third baseman.
Yeah, so then what do you do with JP?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so it's like, it's like Wilson Contreras will be available probably, but you don't go get Wilson Contreras and give up premium prospects who also has a no trade clause. You don't go get him and then only play him against lefties. He's an everyday DH, and you got Canzone and some other guys. So it's like to me, the primary would be a right-handed reliever that can get swing and miss. Even if, like, let's say Brash came back healthy a week before the trade deadline, they should, even when Brash was healthy, they were going to go get another reliever.
I don't think you can depend
if not
on
two.
Him. Yeah, I don't think you can depend on Matt Brash this year. I think you got to just say if he comes back great, it's great. It's extra gravy on the mashed potatoes.
Well, and that's kind of the reason why. And it wasn't just like this lat injury specifically, but when everybody said, "Hey, he should be the closer," I was like, "No, slow down, Sparky." Like they don't. You have to post a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the one thing is like there are limitations with Brash and his usage coming back from the injury, and we're seeing that now. So, yeah, I think you go out and you get some relief help more than anything. And if there is a bench bat, right-handed bat, something that comes up, yeah, obviously you upgrade. I mean, like I know people are just angry about the presence of Rob Refsnyder, but he's there. They're going to play him some. They're not playing him a ton. They're going to play him some.
Yeah,
but they don't have like. But you don't. Don't bat him first.
You cannot have him hitting leadoff. I just think it's absolute malpractice. I can't take a team serious when they bat him leadoff because all I've been told that we've been told in the last 10 years of baseball is that your best hitters are hitting first and second.
Yeah.
Then why would he bat first? Why would you ever hit him leadoff? Ever?
I don't know.
It's just someone's got to make sense of that to me. Over there.
I think that's more of a Dan thing than a.
Do you really?
I think it's
not some 23-year-old sitting at a computer saying, "Oh, listen, he's going to put up some great numbers with him lead off."
Dan gives the reports and everything on everything going in and the expected numbers and all this stuff based on all their algorithms and arm slots and pitch. It's a lot, but sometimes I think it's just Dan. Hey, let's bat him up top. Maybe this will get him going. But right now, like. I get like the anger that people have with Rob Refsnyder and the list of problems that they have, because they're not hitting, because they're not, he's not the reason why they struggle against lefties. Yeah, they brought him in for that, but the problem is just they have a lot of lefties in their lineup too. Yeah. And Cal was gone and stuff. There isn't like you can go into their system and just say, okay, well, like we are significantly downgraded because we're not playing this guy. If Brennan Davis was healthy and hitting and mashing, I would say, yeah, why not give him a chance? But he's on the IL. He had a hamstring injury. The hamstring injury had spring. So it's like, who are you going to bring up? It's like their AAA team is like a lot of the Brock Roddens and stuff. And, Michael Arroyo, until he gets to AAA, probably a little farther away. And then there's the whole other defensive component that, he is significantly not good at defense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're going to keep Refsnyder because teams don't want to give up players on major league contracts. They don't like DFAing guys on major league contracts, especially bench players. Like you're not playing them every day. It's like It's just a different fit. Like, how many times did people want to DFA Garver over the last few years? He found a role. He found his role. He became productive. Sometimes it's the patient aspect of it. But like in the list of reasons why the Mariners are struggling or don't win games, I don't look at Rob Refsnyder as the main reason. Are they necessarily putting him in a situation to succeed by batting him first or fifth? Probably not. But some of that also goes to who the other guys are batting eighth and ninth. If they want to leave Colt certainly probably want to leave Colt at 9 if you're facing a lefty. Or even Cole down in the lineup when you're facing a lefty, even though he's been okay. So we'll see. People will have to complain too much. I don't think we're going to see Refsnyder for the next few days because I don't know what Cleveland's. I think they have one lefty. I don't know if they're going to see him.
Okay. All right, couple of housekeeping. 2 more things, then we're done. This has been a long inside pitch here with Divish. Dom Canzone, quickly, has he earned, when he comes back, when he does, is he going to earn more playing time, you think, against lefties?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, I guess sometimes it depends on the lefty and like the profile of it, and like because that's what they go off of too. Sometimes it's not just all lefties. Not all lefties are created equal. So sometimes it might be that. And that may be a situation too, like where they may play Dom against the lefty because they don't want to play Naylor against the lefty. Naylor's had his own issues with lefties, so maybe that's a good day to get Naylor because he is severely dinged up in a lot of ways. And so it's like, let's get him out, and then give him a day and then kind of rework it that way.
Okay. You brought his name up. Let's go there with Josh Naylor. Last thing for you. It has been, I don't know why it started. I didn't know it existed, but there's been this, I guess, this underbelly of online hate for Josh Naylor, questioning his work ethic, questioning his commitment to the sport, saying that, hey, listen, he got a new contract. Now he's fat and happy, and he's basically mailing it in this year. Yeah, you're with the team pretty much all the time. The amount of injuries that he's been dealing with, you can question, listen, he's had a poor year defensively. No one is going to sit here and argue against that. He's not been good defensively. Got off to a rough start offensively, but then has been able to turn it around. I think it's fair to always question a guy's defense. Can he get better at underhand toss? Can he get better at some of the throws? Yeah. I think he'd be the last guy I would put in the crosshairs of mailing it in and not trying to win a game.
Yeah. My rules for like when especially in the social media world, like I never even being around, like I would just never randomly question somebody's effort level, particularly based on body language or whatever. Never, question whether they're hurt or not or faking it, and if they screw up, I always ask them about it. Kind of my 3 things. Like with Naylor, I don't know that anybody, like, if you were to run as fast as you can and dive headfirst into second base at 240 pounds or whatever it is, just go do it now, whatever way you are. And how do you feel? I do that 3 times a game. Just go sprint. Like, the big league bases are far. 90 feet, sprint 90 feet, run 180 feet as hard as you can. He's been dealing with shoulder issues off and on. Like, he had a throwing shoulder issue last year, and we saw some bad throws last year. I think he's dealt with it at times this year. I also think sometimes you can just get the yips a little bit, like on your tosses and stuff. You make one bad one, and the first thing that comes in, it's like putting. It's like anything, something you do is routine. And I think that's we've seen that, like on some plays, on forced plays where it's like a double play. He is so cautious about making sure you get the one out, because what's the rule on a double play? You can't turn 2 if you don't get the first one. And so he's making sure, because he's had some throws that have been where he's rushed them and they've been wayward, and then like even something like yesterday, JP's throw pulled him into the runner. There was like he avoided a collision, but like, yeah, I don't question. He's out there every day doing the work. He is very intense when he does the work, but fielding can be like hitting at times where like you get into a funk, your footwork is bad, something's off mechanically what you're doing, and that's what happened. I mean, like, it's bad because there are routine plays that need to be made, but I think also he was never considered like an elite fielder. I mean, not that I've ever recalled.
He wasn't. That's why he surprised everybody a year ago with how well he played.
I thought he was great last year.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, like, again, like that happens. And I just don't, and to sit there and accuse somebody of dogging it, you know, I think is pretty unfair. But that's, you know, I'm not a body language expert either. And a lot of people on Twitter seem to be, but that's fine. I mean, like, that's their opinion. Like, I mean, like, that's a pretty big charge to level. Like, when I remember when I talked about Winker, that wasn't, I didn't just come up with that on my own. That was his own teammates telling me what a dog he was at the time. And, you know, we could see it, but then when the teammates and the coaches who denied it but verified it before that, you know, it's a lot different. I've never heard anybody question Naylor's work ethic or whatever. I don't know where it comes from. I know some people think, well, because he's not out on the field taking BP, but he doesn't take on-field BP because he thinks it leads to bad habits. He hits him and like Brendan Donovan and even Julio. Well, Julio only takes on-field BP like the first game of every series, road series or home series, and then usually he stays in the cages and works off the machines and stuff like that.
All right, there he is. That was a long one. Did not intend it to be that long, but you know, we got a lot to say. You've got a lot to say. And hopefully, how's the arm feeling since the red light therapy's been on there for 45 minutes, probably longer? Is it going to get better?
It turns off and then I turn it back on. So
okay, all right.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's like, again, like don't get old. It just sucks.
Yeah, it does. It does suck. Well, what does not suck is you every single week. Inside Pitch with Ryan Divish, brought to you by Chalet Bowl. Book your next reservation today at chaletbowl.com. Thank you, Div.
Tell you about the goddamn tequila.
Well, they made a pretty good argument when you weren't here.
Oh, yeah? Who made the argument? 17-year-old?
Neither of them acted 17, sir. Mm-hmm. Maybe the older one?
You're going to have to help me with this shit now.